Welcome back to Double Dose. I'm your host, Daniel.
And I'm your host, Dipesh.
And we're here to take it from Earth to the catacombs of London.
Oh, I'm gonna check that out for myself.
Do you know what they are?
I don't. Daniel. We're getting a bit of fame on TikTok, dude. One of our videos.
Blowing up.
Over 200K.
10 billion likes, baby.
You've somehow started a massive debate about religion.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing I wanted to ask you, and this was just a thought I had, and let me know if this sounds really stupid.
Mm-hmm.
But I was thinking, sorry for those of you listening and following along, I'm referring to a TikTok clip that we uploaded about Daniel discussing the head transplant video.
Yes.
So I was wondering, for this head or body transplant.
Yep.
Say for instance, I get a hand transplant from another person.
Yes.
Do I absorb a bit of that person's DNA, or is there enough of me to override that person's DNA and that becomes my property?
Your cells, I believe it's your cells take over the cells of that body.
Would there be a little bit of that person?
That's why you have to be
me?
the same blood. Nah.
Not at all?
It's not like Seinfeld where Kramer's and Jerry's like, I can feel them borrowing stuff from my blood.
I just like to think like all the cells that make up that person's hand are somewhat in me. Just in the background, they're just there. And what if there's just one genetic trait of theirs that just gets, I absorb it. I absorb the power of them.
That's like saying, though, I absorb the cells of an animal that I eat.
But it's not living tissue.
Yeah, it is. You can eat an animal alive.
Mate, Kilbear, who's doing that?
Well, people who do it.
I'd say it's a different species. It doesn't affect you. But I'm saying like for adaptation, there's, like if a couple gets together and have an offspring, that
what do you think, the hand's just going to come alive though and start doing stuff?
No. Like I just like picture, like say the person that the hand came off had an aversion to something, and then you had a kid and that kid develops that aversion. Is it because it came from that person's hand and your body absorbed that trait?
The cells?
Yeah.
The cells. Well, okay.
Because it's information, right? It's information held in the DNA.
You're talking about the what's called when we are the super organism. So, I did a lot of research into looking at how the body works and why it works the way that it does, and that there's so much stuff that happens on the subconscious that we don't even think about, right? So, how our cells talk to each other. It's like, okay, we're a mass of millions of cells and trillions of cells doing stuff that we're not in control of. So do you think it's somehow translating some of that knowledge across the body that we're not even perceiving, but it's just genetically being
it's just in the
adapted?
back. It's just added to the code.
Yeah. Oh, well, it's possible that, even, getting the flu or a virus alters your DNA slightly. Mm-hmm. So possibly it's doing something, like it's genetically gearing you up for some sort of knowledge that the cells might have had.
Yeah. Like what if you have a kid and, you've passed down something that wouldn't have affected you, but it's now written into your DNA code because you've absorbed someone else's DNA and it's added to your DNA.
So therefore, it's like you're not even my kid.
Yeah, you got a little dash of this other person in you. You're mine and my wife's kid, but you got a little dash of something else in you.
Possibly,
just in the background there.
Could happen.
We might not check it out, but there's, you develop something or you have something in you that we didn't pass on to you.
Right.
I wonder. Or there's definitely a doctor out there just being like face palming right now. I'm like, these guys are so dumb.
Yeah.
This is the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life.
These guys have no idea what they're talking about. But to say the answer scientifically 100% is bullshit, because how many times science has changed it? There was a point in life where they're like, the Earth is fucking a cube. And you're going to fall off the side. Do you know what I mean? Like, you go too far, you're gone.
Yeah.
And that was fact. And then the person that said, well, it's round, well, they were killed.
That's it, mate.
So, who knows? I would love to believe that
I'd like to think
some
that.
level, genetic level, something is being transferred.
You got a little bit of information added to your code.
A little bit. But it's like what does the cell of your hand actually involve? Do you know what I mean? Like how much information does the hand cell send to the body? While
like to think
versus
that-
your stomach might be completely different.
I like to think that, like, you know, I could take your fingernail or a strand of your hair or your saliva, and your DNA is apparent in all of those things. So your DNA is just a code all over your body.
Yeah.
So I'd like to think that the hand, not
okay.
so much it's like the dominant thing taken from you, but it has just as much information about your body as any other part of your body.
Yeah, that's I say that's true. So
attaching your hand to mine, and, you know, everything goes well. Get a little bit of your information added to my DNA sequence.
that's cool.
I just thought of that. And someone in the comments raised a very interesting point, and this is what got me to think this, is like, if that person had a kid, whose kid is it?
99.9% it's your kid.
The body's?
Yeah.
Or the head? Because the head's the one that's alive, right?
You're a changing person every single day. You're not the same person you were yesterday.
Whose sperm
Every
is
7
created
years,
in that body?
Well, unless you had the nutsack replaced by someone else, I'm pretty sure it's yours. But even still,
But in
it's
this
like
body transplant, it's a whole body, right?
yeah, but it's still your brain,
Yeah, but it's someone else's...
whole body.
Yeah.
But how much effect does the body have on the brain?
No, I'm just saying, like, if I used that new body and had a kid.
Yeah. Oh, that's true.
Yeah. Whose kid is that?
That's an interesting question.
Yeah. That was a very interesting question someone put. I'm like, wow. Yeah, it's my kid mentally, but that's not my body. I didn't make this kid. It's not...
Well, you'd have to see what the body does. Does the body adapt to whatever the brain is?
Right.
Or is it the spinal fluid somehow starts changing?
Like the DNA that's in my head, is that what goes into my sperm? Or is the body that already had the sperm from the previous person, that's just the same type of
if
sperm?
you're translating a whole body, then that's some real shit.
Isn't that what's happened, though? It's not a head transplant. It's essentially you're swapping the body onto yours. Because we kind of essentially talked about how we're our head. The consciousness is...
The consciousness would stay the same.
Yeah. Well, we hope so. And
I would assume
the new
so.
body is like... Does all of me just go and just take over the whole body? Or am I just operating a foreign body?
Yeah, that's cool.
I wonder.
I don't know what happens, but your blood has to be accepted into the new body.
Do you think that because the brain is like in control of all the cells' functions and stuff like that,
That it somehow like overtakes?
like the skin could change back to the skin that you had on your head, like your body?
I don't think the skin changes because I've seen people get transplants with the different colored skin and it stays the same.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. It's like, where do you draw that line? Of
Yeah.
Where the DNA starts and then it ends. That's pretty freaky.
Interesting thought, man. Interesting.
I like that. I think I would want to hope that I'd really have to look into it. I have heard a story years ago where this child was very ill, and so you know how like with certain types of blood, there's a person that can donate to anyone, and there's a person that can receive from anyone. Do you know this?
Yeah.
So it's like universal donor, universal receiver. Then there's these two can give to each other, and this one can give to each other, or this one can only receive from this one.
Yep.
There was an instance years ago where a young girl who was very ill and I think underwent a bone marrow transplant or something, ended up received so much blood from another donor, like so many bags of the same blood that her body took on a new blood type.
Wow.
Only one recorded case ever.
That's really cool.
Yeah, so their body changed blood type. Didn't think it would be possible.
That's really interesting. My mum has that one of the rare blood types.
What is it? Do you know?
AB negative, I believe.
Oh shit, that's the super rare one.
Mm-mm.
That's like less than 1% of the
So
population.
she can donate to anyone.
Yeah, that's cool.
Mm-mm.
That's the rarest one, I think. AB negative.
AB negative or AB positive?
What are you?
A positive.
Okay, I'm O positive, which is the one that can, I think, get from anyone.
Yeah.
Pretty sure. Oh, no. Sorry. I had it wrong. O positive is the most common, so it's the one they're looking for the most.
Yeah. You can spread it out a bit more.
Well, yeah, it's the most common, so it's the one they're always asking for.
Yeah.
I donated once and they never stopped bugging me.
Oh, right. I've donated twice, I think. But this was, I think I was in high school around this time. Yeah.
When the fluid comes back in after, did you get that? I did a plasma donation.
No, I didn't do that.
And
just blood.
they took, so what they did was they took the blood and filtered the plasma out of it and put the blood back in.
Really?
Yeah, but then after that, so what ends up coming out is yellow.
I thought they just separated it back where they got the blood.
They put the blood back. How crazy is that?
I would have been like, just keep it, dude. Keep it.
No, they didn't. They didn't keep it because they said I think they could only do one. But when they put the saline back in, that shit went in so fast. It was like a whole bag went in within a minute.
Jeez.
And it was so cold. I was like, whoa, that's freezing.
Yeah,
Because it was just like whoosh.
And your whole arm just gets hot.
You know how like when you get fluids in hospital, it's like drip, drip. This thing was like whole bag just going.
It's like your body was drinking it.
Oh, shit. It was so freaky.
2 friends of mine that I was with, they were having a race to see who could fill the bag the quickest with blood, and they were like pumping the little thing to be like, it's a race to donate the blood
I just
quicker.
kept squeezing it as much as it asked me to.
It was my first time. I was just
I
like,
was
like,
mine
whoa,
went
this is
for like
freaky.
Ages.
Yeah, I felt like it took a long time for me as well. Yeah. Wow.
That's cool.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I don't know what that means about changing your blood type, how significant that is, or what that means for the body. But they didn't think it was possible, and then they checked her blood and said it's different than last time.
Interesting. So yeah, she's like, it was like maybe 75% or 80% from another person. So the body's like, this is the main one now.
Yeah, but it's so crazy that the body can adapt like that.
The DNA overrid it.
Yeah, the DNA took over. It's like, are you that person's blood now?
Yeah.
You're not me. You're my blood. I've taken over. I've come back.
Wow.
I'm blood.
Wow. And
That's
there's
like
DNA
some
in blood.
vampire shit.
There's DNA in blood.
There is.
Interesting, dude.
There's DNA in everything. It's DNA.
We're breaking down scientific walls right now.
Totally.
Yep. Dude, that's crazy. If you don't mind, man, I got another little James Webb Telescope update.
Yeah.
my beloved James Webb Telescope.
Yeah.
Dude, the reason I'm bringing it up all the time is because it's ridiculous, man. This thing's cutting edge. It's 100 times more stronger than the Hubble Space Telescope. It's designed to be like super sensitive to infrared light, and it's so sensitive. I read this up. It's so sensitive that it can detect the heat coming off a bumblebee from the distance from us to the moon.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's so
cool.
sensitive. The gold coating that's on the mirrors is so fine that it's 1,000 times thinner than a human hair.
Oh my God.
It's like and it's I think it's made up of 18 mirrors, and like so they can get like as many photos as it can. And I remember seeing this whole diagram breakdown of how it brings in the light. It was really cool. But right now, it's been hyper-focused on a nearby exoplanet called Proxima B. Proxima B was only found in 2016, so it's not a very old discovery.
Mm-hmm.
And the planet itself is actually very similar to our Earth. It's only 4.2 light years from Earth and is only 17% more massive than our Earth itself. It revolves around its sun, which is called Proxima Centauri. It orbits around its star completely in 11.2 days, which is pretty short.
Freaking quick.
Very. It's very close to its sun. But
so it'd be super hot or no?
The sun itself is considered a red dwarf, so it receives roughly the same amount of energy that we receive off our sun, even though it's that close to its sun.
Okay.
It's just not as powerful as our sun.
So are they doing that because they think potentially that's a good place where they think life might occur?
Well, yeah, it's in its Goldilocks zone for its system. So they know that if it does have an atmosphere, then it is in the perfect spot for water to evaporate. To liquefy. And obviously, as far as we know, water is the building block for life.
How far away is it? Because I know, for instance, in our galaxy, because we're carbon-based, that's important to have water. But, on a distant galaxy far, far away, they might have mostly made of iron. So they might be life forms coming out of iron. Who knows?
This is for us because we know that there's a high chance of something being developed the same way as us. That's why we're looking at it a lot.
So is it close to us?
So it's 4.2 light years from Earth. So it's
that's pretty close.
It's close in terms of like as far as Earth-like planets are.
Yeah. That's pretty
It's
good.
very close.
Because, there's heaps of other places where it's like 20,000 light years away. I'm like, oh my God, we'll never get there.
It's ridiculously far.
So
Actually,
only 4 light years away.
4.2 light years away from Earth.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's very good. And right now, I think I'll be getting to that a little bit later on.
Yep.
So a couple of more facts about Proxima B is it's tidally locked to its star, Proxima Centauri. So it's like our moon. It's just got one.
It's not
side,
rotating on itself.
Yeah, it's not rotating.
Yeah.
It's one side is permanently fixed to facing its star.
Yep.
A team of researchers in Europe have been using this thing called a shell spectrograph, which is using the information taken off the James Webb Telescope, and they think that they have enough information to support that there could be some life on Proxima B. The Swifts-made spectrograph observes objects and splits the light coming off the objects into different wavelengths, so it can figure out what the object is made up of. And they're doing this in hopes to find if there is any artificial light coming off Proxima B. And they're theorizing that there was a what's his name? It was a Harvard astronomer called R.V. Loeb. He's proposed that aliens that are advanced as us could be using artificial light to illuminate and spread to the dark side of their planet, because you might as well colonize the whole planet if you were able to breed and evolve on it. And they're saying that
it could be like mad minerals there.
Yeah, and they're saying if there's any sign of life, we can just focus on the dark side of the planet, and if we get there'll be some sort of LED light or any sort of artificial light. Boom, that's proof that there's life on that planet.
Sick.
Yeah.
Do you think, let's say they do, well, what do you think the next step would be trying to contact this place?
Looking up this whole little segment, the actual system that Proxima B is part of is actually going to reach a point in our lifetime that is going to be in a spot that we could actually reach. If we don't act very soon, it's going to be light years away from us. We're not going to be able to see it again. And there's this initiative called Project Starshot that I looked up, and it's not. I don't think it's actually in manufacturing, if they're actually making it, or it's been like proposed to do. But basically, it's these gold sails that I think are about 4x4 meters, and they're folded up really small into these little chips, and they think they weigh about 1 gram each. And what they're going to do is launch a whole bunch of them into space. They then link up in space, unfold, and then there's going to be a series of lasers on Earth that all shoot directly at the gold foil and propel this thing at like 9.9999 speed of light, because it's the only way that we can actually get something to travel super quick.
Yeah.
And it's the sole purpose of these foils would just be to pass close enough to Proxima B just to take a really close-up photo, and they'll be shooting right past it. And if they get that photo, it'll take about 5 years for them to get that photo back to us, and then we could find out from the photo to see if it's like got water and cloud systems and all that sort of stuff.
That's sick.
Yeah.
That is so cool. God
sick.
damn, these people are smart. They come up with
imagine
this
that, dude. It's like 1 gram. This thing weighs the size of a chip.
And you have to shoot at it.
Yeah.
In space.
Yeah, it's like a whole series of ground-based lasers, and they just go and they just shoot the foils, and the foil just takes the energy from the light and just shoots off like a rocket.
Pumps it.
Because like right now, I think what's it called? It starts with a V. One of the satellites launched in like the 70s.
V?
Yeah, I think it starts with V. One of those old school
Voyager.
satellites. Voyager. I think Voyager 2, is the furthest from Earth.
Yeah.
But the
one that took the pictures of Pluto?
Yes, it's taken like photos of Pluto's moons and stuff like that. That I think is the furthest from Earth, but the speed that's traveling would take like 20,000 years to get to Proxima B. It would take way too long. So they're trying to figure out in this span of time where it's like the system's going to be kind of within a reasonable zone, if we can't figure out, and this is an option, I think, if we can't figure out a way of travel that is like way more advanced than what we currently have, this is the option. And it's just to take a photo.
Call up Bob Lazar.
Yeah. Hook it up, bruh.
Hook it up. I know you Gravitron.
I know you got the schematics.
Yeah. Got it in your brain.
I was thinking, dude, imagine like we were in a similar predicament. We just were able to travel just far enough and fast enough to a planet to colonize it, because our planet at the time was dying off and Earth just happened to be that planet, but we didn't like sort everything out in time. So we reached Earth, ran out of resources, and we're just stranded here. And then we passed down these tales and stuff, but all the technology got lost and all that because we're just this lost civilization from an advanced planet. And all these stories about these myths and stuff like that were relevant to the planet that we used to be on, but lost because we're the aliens from our original planet.
And what if that's the original planet is Proxima B, and we're going back?
Oh, it's come around again, dude.
We're going back to home.
We're going home.
We're going home.
Isn't that crazy that the planet that's...
And we're just drawn to that one.
Yeah. It's fate.
It's fate.
Isn't it crazy that like another planet that's in the Goldilocks zone is tidally locked? Like, imagine growing up on that planet.
It happens a lot.
Yeah?
It happens a lot because you're constantly spinning. So, for instance, when they said the moon was first formed, it would have been spinning.
Yeah.
But because it's constantly being affected by gravity, and it's so close that eventually it stops spinning.
Yeah. That's nuts.
Yeah.
Imagine growing up on that planet. Obviously, it's normal for them, but...
how big is the planet?
It's 17% more massive than our Earth, so it's not...
Oh, it is bigger.
It's bigger, but like... it's, at least it's not like ridiculously different to us.
But it's a year for them is 17 days.
Yeah. But then they're always in sunlight. So do you think as a species you would live right on the edge and be like, all right, it's nighttime, and then you just travel an hour into the darkness and go to bed? And then
But it's bigger than Earth, so it takes longer than Earth to get around.
Well, what's up?
It's not like Rick and Morty where they just walk around and they're like, daytime, spring, summer, everything.
How far is that drop off of the shadow? Do you think that's like a kilometers long?
33 kilometers or something.
Really?
Yeah, it's quite a while.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you reckon in a planet like that, say they were at our advancement?
Yeah.
Do you think
right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you think like the rich get to live on the edge and the working class have to be
You're already
dead
talking
center?
about the political of this planet.
They would do. They'd be like,
what if they're
the working class stay in the dead center hot all day?
In perfect harmony, and they're like fully tribal, and they're just going, we love being tribal. That's the way. Everything is spiritual. We haven't invented anything because we are so content with being tribal.
Yeah.
But they're like smarter than us, let's say. It could be that.
That's why I think
you have no idea what life could be like.
I have no idea. Like, I mean, and this is for another podcast. But our thoughts on these ancient civilizations that we think that lived before our time. I really do think that was the direction. Like, they had no interest in smartphones and stuff like that. Their technology was in a completely different direction, and that's what they thought was more beneficial to their future.
But they were also massive tyrants and like slavery, build me a pyramid.
Oh no, I'm talking about before them. Like,
okay.
The lost civilizations.
Yeah, Atlantis.
Yeah. We'll get into that another time.
That's cool.
Yeah, dude.
I think if a place was smart, they wouldn't have touched plastics or anything like that.
We might not have even developed it, and we had no interest in developing it.
Yeah.
Is
that what it looks like?
This is the James Webb Telescope. I'm bringing up a little 3D diagram for Daniel, and we'll put it on screen for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
How cool is that?
I didn't expect what it would look like.
Yeah, and these are all the little mirrors over here.
That's so cool.
So, like, it takes the light, reflects off the mirrors, and then it bounces back to this center thing, and then it shoots back into the center.
Okay.
And then it like gets breaking down like 5 times.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay. That's mad. Cool. I really want to know when we'll get it. 4 years, 5 more.
That's if this Project Starshot actually happens. I don't think it's not made. It would be amazing if it were to be made. But
It's all in theory right now, right?
I think it's in theory.
Okay.
But this is our best hope at taking a photo of Proxima B, if this is the case. I think the whole project is to shoot into. Let me have a look here. I think it was Alpha Centauri.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that whole system.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I hear that name a lot, Alpha Centauri.
Yeah, I always heard of that, but I never knew the significance. And now hearing about all this, I'm like, wow, that's really cool. It's like you always just heard like the Andromeda galaxy is our nearby galaxy, and that's the one that if we have any hope, that's the galaxy we're going to venture to. But yeah, that's pretty cool.
Let's just invade the planet.
Little Proxima.
Die!
Yeah. This is ours now.
This is us. It's like that meme. It's like, I made this. It's like, this is mine.
Yeah, this is mine now.
Okay, I got something very random and nowhere near as scientific as that, but
Hey, we need to break it up a little bit, you know?
we break it up. I
Yep.
think it's good. Okay. I came across this. The title of it was called Guy Explodes Train with His Ass.
Oh my god,
It's
okay.
a real story.
Oh,
okay?
what? Okay.
It's a real thing that
Okay,
happened.
I'm
So
keen.
this happened in 1830, and it was a exciting time with railroad industry because the U.S. built a steam locomotive, first ever operated in the United States, and that was in August. And it was Peter Cooper's Tom Thumb along with the Baltimore and Ohio. And after a few months, later in December, the first commercially operated steam constructed in America went into service.
Yeah.
And it was called the Best Friend of Charleston. Okay. And
This
it
is
was
the
like
name
a very...
of the train?
Yeah, this is the name of the train.
Okay.
Called the Best Friend of Charleston. It was
And this
made
is
by
1830, you said?
yeah, 1830
Jeez.
because the locomotive I think was the steam locomotive and steam trains were invented like the 1780s.
1700s.
It's 1780s.
Industrial-
Pretty crazy.
Was that Industrial Revolution? The start?
Nah, Industrial Revolution is like 1910 or something.
I guess it was just the start of industry, steam-powered things.
Steam powered thing, yeah. I think that's thing. I think that's when it started. But
Cowboys were getting phased out.
yeah. The cowboys horses were start. No, actually, trains were around with the horses around. It's just that no one had a car.
Like towns were getting built.
Yeah, and it was just like, can we use this to transport people? And it started becoming a thing. And
Yeah.
the Best Friend of Charleston was a very small kind of locomotive, but I think it can hold like 80 people.
It's so
with
weird
a couple
the
carriages.
way you describe it because the name sounds like you're talking about someone.
Yeah. But because I think it was made by Charleston and Co. was the company.
Right. Such a 1800s name.
Yeah, Charleston.
Yeah. Charleston and Sons.
And that was in South Carolina Canal and Railroad Company was the company that made it.
Right.
And unfortunately, locomotives in this area were not exactly constructed to any type of standards or overseen by any regulations at all at the time.
Yeah.
And its initial run, the locomotive continued operating daily. It remained in service for 6 months until June 17th, 1831, when it was partially destroyed and severely injuring its crew because, as legend goes, the firemen became tired of listening to the hissing and whistling coming from the boiler, that he held down the steam pressure release valve with his ass. So he just like shoved his butt inside the fucking machine until it closed it.
What?
And he's like, I'm just gonna fucking do it.
Wow, dude, that's so weird because like you can picture that operator wasn't the inventor, and it's almost like the inventor was like, all right, I've invented this. I've put my money into it. You're driving it. This is what you do. You move this, you pull this, you change this.
Yeah.
Now go on, run it. And this dude was just like, I do shit with my hands all the time. I'm sick of this noise. And just blocks it up.
It just blocks it up. Regrettably, this incident also gave the Best Friend of Charles another place in history as the first locomotive in the US to suffer a boiler explosion.
Wow.
And after the incident, the railroad salvaged parts. Oh, it killed like fucking like 40 people or something. He died.
I know.
He blew up. He got annihilated.
He blew up ass first, which is crazy. But 40 people, are they all in the freaking front of the train? I guess it's not a long
It
train,
was a huge
right?
explosion, and it was a very small, little, tight-knit train with a lot of people packed in.
You know what's crazy, dude?
I
Like that.
actually don't quote me on the people. I think it was like in the dozens that people got severely injured.
You know what's crazy?
I'm sure at least a dozen died.
That the whole housing for this the locomotion, the train would have been such thick like iron. To think that gets pressured enough to explode is just ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
Like that would have been the heaviest metal.
I'll
Not
show you what a
budging at
picture
all.
of the train
Yeah,
would
let's have
look
a look.
like, so you can have a look at it. It was like this thing. It was very
Oh,
kooky.
right. Okay. So it's like,
So
it's
he
all
just sat
wooden.
his butt there.
Yeah, it's all wooden, but like for those of you listening, it looks like one of those little trains you see at like the fairground that you can just ride on as a kid, and it's like a little wooden cart, but there's like a fireplace at the front of it. Like it's just a whole furnace.
Looks like a little chimney on the front.
Yeah,
with a couple of carriages on the back. So
Like a
he
little
got
boiler.
annihilated. He got annihilated. But imagine he's like driving this thing and goes, I'm sick of listening to that thing. I think I can just block it up and there'll be no repercussions whatsoever.
As if it wouldn't be hot as hell as well. There wouldn't be any insulation then.
No.
Heat insulation. The whole thing would have just been radiating heat, and he just put his arse on it. Okay, so dumb. So dumb. I bet you he wasn't even in that industry. He was just a worker. He's like, you, sir, what are you doing today? And he's like, well, I'm selling newspapers. He's like, how would you like to drive a locomotive? And he's like, oh, I'll give it a go.
Sign me up.
Sign me up. And then he was like, man, this way more noisy than it used to be to deliver newspapers. I'm just going to block this thing with my ass. And
He's so
good
thick.
news.
He's a thick boy. He just fucking sat on it and he's like, I'm going to just fix this right now with my butt.
Wow.
He blew up. And they recreated the train because it was a historical thing. But the original one, gone. It just got annihilated.
Do you think that's what actually happened? Because who's living to tell the tale? They were done.
Some people lived.
Imagine seeing someone block a freaking
And then you're at
steam
the
door
back
with
of
an
the train
arse.
just going, you think that's right? You think he can do that?
Yeah.
And then it's all of a sudden, douche. You're like, nah, he shouldn't have done that.
Dude, imagine that. That is the worst way to like see all these dead bodies, and you're like, just because you saw some guy at the front being like, stuff this piece of shit, and just rub his ass in it.
You wouldn't have seen, though, because he would have just shoved his butt like here.
At the front of it.
Good times.
Wow.
Man, it was really the Wild West back then, wasn't it?
Definitely would opt for a horse.
I don't want to be kicked off or thrown off a horse. That's how fucking Steve Reeves broke his neck.
Yeah. Because the horses are tall, man. There's a long drop.
Steve Reeves. Christopher Reeves.
Christopher Reeves. It's a long drop. But you know, I guess you have to like. He landed on his neck or something, right?
He was doing that game where you hit the sticks with the ball.
No, it's not badminton. It's
Polo?
polo. I think polo.
He was playing that and he got kicked off the horse and landed on his neck. And he was a fucking beefy guy. He was like 6'2".
I heard a story that my mate told me, and I have no idea if this is true or not, but apparently he knew a guy who became disabled from the waist down because he was sitting on a surfboard for a certain period of time, and apparently there's a high risk when sitting on a surfboard in the water, you can paralyze yourself from the waist down. And he was fine. He was out in the water, and he came back to the land, and he sat for a while, and then all of a sudden he couldn't get up.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know if this is true or not, but if that is true,
no,
that's freaky.
you can be paralyzed like that. So you might be on the verge of being paralyzed, and then you just do one wrong move, and that's it. You're cooked.
So
it's like people having car accidents, and then they're walking around, and they just turn their neck, and then all of a sudden they're paralyzed.
Right, that's why
and
when you
that's
have a car accident, like don't move him, don't move him.
Yeah.
I would believe it because I can imagine when you're sitting on a surfboard, you're using some types of balancing, and the waves are random.
Do you think it's the crashing on the wave that can kind of do it?
I think like he was just sitting and like just sitting on the water, but the water's constantly moving. You're constantly like rotating your hips and spine to keep balance while sitting on a surfboard, right? Might not be jarring, but it's
not
just
normal.
It's not. You're not stagnant, and he could have just done something, came back to the sand, sat for a bit, and then just couldn't get up and paralyzed for life. So freaky. I don't want to.
Really
it's just deterred me from sitting on a surfboard.
I've never gone surfing, so
Me neither. I'll do bodyboarding.
yeah, man, you can hurt yourself doing anything. That's the problem.
My brother-in-law broke his leg from bodyboarding.
You can do anything. You can break your neck. My friend jumped into the ocean and broke his neck just diving into a wave.
Oh yeah, it's dangerous doing a shallow dive, dude.
Yeah. Well, no. It was just like a very gentle. A wave is coming towards me, and he just dunked his head under the water. But there was a sandbank right there.
Yeah,
and he was already at waist deep.
Yeah.
And he landed head first, and then he said what he felt was like the sandbank crush his head like this, and he felt his neck crush back.
Oh my
and
God.
just shattered his neck.
Oh, that's so scary, man. Yeah, you get told all the time, like never dive into the beach.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But holy crap, you can biggest risk we do every day is like drive a car. It's like, who knows what lunatic is behind the wheel and the person next to us.
Yeah, yeah.
Very scary things.
Wow,
but,
dude.
You know, take your life for granted. It's crazy.
That is very, very freaky. I like that story though. That is that's very random.
Very random. Came across it. I laughed my ass off.
That's good.
Almost laughed my ass off.
He unfortunately didn't get to laugh his ass off.
He did, but then he died.
His last laugh.
He's like, I'll have
Take that, you stinking hunk of junk. Boom!
Boom. It's like a Simpsons.
My biscuits are burning.
Yeah, cool.
I have something that's very different to that. I guess another little historical theory, conspiracy theory, I guess.
Sure.
And it's based on a operation back in the 1940s called Operation High Jump. Have you heard of it? Heard about this?
Nope.
No?
Hit me.
All right. So
Mind fuck me.
in the late 1940s, shortly after World War II, Operation High Jump was carried out by the US Navy. The operation was a research expedition to Antarctica, and it was led by Admiral Richard E. Byrd. The operation went for about a year and a half, and a lot of this operation is still classified to this day. The purpose of this expedition essentially was to search over Antarctica.
Oh, I do know it. I know Admiral Byrd. I know
Admiral Byrd, yeah. He was the whole point was to see, I guess, why the Nazis were so interested in that area, and why they had bases there during World War II, and I guess to investigate what was going on there during that time. Supposedly, when Admiral Byrd returned from the expedition, he was held for about 36 hours and told under no circumstances to speak to anyone about it. And then all of a sudden, he was just given the Medal of Honor and told to leave.
Okay.
And
was this in his autobiography though? This facts came from?
Oh, I'm not too sure. I'll have to fact check that.
Yeah.
But many suspect that they had found Agartha, or they're looking for Agartha, which is what the Nazis were interested in, which is that whole Hollow Earth thing, which is a whole another rabbit hole we could go down on another episode.
Yes.
But they were essentially looking for that, I believe. And I also read that there's a Italian encyclopedia from 1948 floating around, which was written during this expedition. And it said that in this encyclopedia that there was an ice-free area discovered in Antarctica with lakes and green grasslands, and even described as a hot area. Isn't that crazy?
Of this. I've heard of these stories. So I did a deep dive back into it. I think it maybe like 2013 or something like that. I heard a lot about it, about this Admiral Byrd and what he saw. I'm going to play a bit of devil's advocate here, but I heard he was sensationalizing a lot of what he did from his autobiography to get more credit than he saw, because apparently what he saw was apparently nothing, and he just wanted to sensationalize it because he didn't want his expedition to be for nothing.
Right.
Is what I heard the kind of counter to what he saw was.
No,
but then I've heard of a lot of other conspiracy stuff about Antarctica. So I think maybe 3 years ago, there was a big thing going on about how the US was sending mass military into Antarctica. Did you hear about this? In the last 3 years or something.
Yeah, well, I think it's a lot of conspiracy about it, because like there's a whole treaty made by the UN, which is like for no one to go to Antarctica. There's no flight paths over Antarctica. Like no one's allowed to go, and that's why flat earthers, they have so much defense. They're like, oh, that's stopping,
the ice wall.
That's the ice wall. We're not allowed to go there, and there's no flight paths over it. It's very interesting. I don't personally believe in flat Earth, but I also would be suspicious if you weren't allowed to just fly to Antarctica and have a look for yourself. It's very interesting.
But then I feel like we'd see it on satellites or something. Satellites pass over it all the time.
It's the largest desert. It's all desert under there.
Yeah, there's no rainfall.
So...
Well, it's only desert because there's no rainfall.
Yeah, it's completely frozen over desert.
Yeah, the no rain can happen there because it's too cold.
Right.
So it gets zero rainfall every year.
So I wonder what could be there. Because I think there's old maps showing land on the edge of where Antarctica currently is. Ancient maps already depicting kind of the boundaries of Antarctica, and how could you explore the landmass of Antarctica if it wasn't frozen over. This is old maps from charted people chartering that area.
Yeah, from hundreds of years
Yeah.
ago.
And obviously, we touched upon this on our one of our last episodes where we're talking about how the Nazis were heavily into the occult,
Yep.
which I think since we've brought this up, we're definitely going to have to do a little deep dive into that in a future episode.
Yeah.
Because they were very interested in occultism and esoteric beliefs, and I think they went to these areas because they had some beliefs. They had strong beliefs that they were going to find something that was going to benefit them.
I wonder why there though.
And dude, I found out that they actually were operating on base there, and they were like only like a few kilometers away from a Russian base, and they were like had this full operation to like, as the Russians were like going by sea, the Nazis would deep dive in a submarine underneath them and then go to their base, while like they would have been like right nearby Russia during World War II.
Crazy.
Yeah. Super risky. So they were like in it for the biscuit, risking it for the biscuit. It was something there so good that they needed to be fully operational there.
Yeah. Makes you think what they're hiding or what's
Yeah,
not hiding, but I've heard that there's, the treaty thing is weird.
Yeah.
That's a bit odd. Don't know, like out of everything, like, China and America and everything, they don't listen to each other's treaties. It's like, don't fish here. And then China like, Japan are like, oh, do whatever.
Everyone's off. And doesn't Australia have the largest chunk?
I have no idea.
Let me have a quick look.
Oh, we got a mad chunk.
We get a huge chunk, I think, because of how close we are.
That's sick.
Yeah.
We own it, bitches.
We own it. It's all ours.
Fuck you, America.
Also, France apparently owns a big chunk too, I think.
That's it. Fuck you, America.
Yeah.
Nothing.
This is my
It
land.
looks like it's divided evenly upon what degrees you are close within it.
Yeah, how much landmass you cover of
the
it.
V comes off of.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
But it's interesting to me that why would there be a treaty over that land, and what's there, man? I think there's I would like to believe that there's
Go
something.
do an expedition there.
Oh
go
my
see
God.
go see the penguins.
What if I drop into Agartha?
Oh man, I've heard this story years ago of I heard this story that happened years ago of the people that went to an expedition, I think to Antarctica, and then got stranded and what they had to do to survive. I can't remember the story. Let me find it.
You just stopped at the most juiciest part.
The untold story of Captain Scott's ill-fated expedition, how 6 explorers sought refuge in igloo and ate penguin meat for 7 months before mustering the strength to trek 200 miles to safety.
Oh, damn.
Apparently you read this book and it is the most horrific shit you can imagine that they went through, and they cannot believe they survived it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just the will to live, strong
Killing
will to live.
penguins to live.
How would you there must have just been a massive flock of penguins nearby that they could just keep harvesting.
Oh man, I've heard the book is horrific and gruesome.
And there'd be raw penguins as well. They'd just be biting into them. They're so cute as well.
Survived it in an igloo. 7 months with no supplies. Imagine like every day you're like, that's it, I'm dying today. We're going to freeze to death.
Yeah.
Or like imagine
Constantly
having to cuddle
cold.
up with 7 men that you just met on an expedition and you're like, guys, we just got to hug it out every night or we're going to die.
And like, can you survive for months on just penguin meat?
They did that, and well, they're pretty fatty. The fat is all you need to survive.
Yeah.
So I watched this.
And you got obviously unlimited water.
Well, you'd have to boil the water. How the fuck are you going to do that? You can't eat the ice; you'll die. It's too cold.
Well, then how'd they drink the water?
They might have had a little fire going and fucking trying to. Who knows?
Well, where's the wood come from to burn?
You're probably burning penguin fat.
Damn.
You don't understand probably the shit they had to go through.
They're probably living in their own shit.
So I watched this series called Alone, right? And it's these guys that go out in the jungle, in the wilderness, and have to survive as long as possible with no human contact and no nothing, right? So they just bunker down, pray they have enough meat on their body to survive the winter. And they're in like fucking on the edge of Siberia. They're in fucking in the Arctic Circle, negative 40 degrees.
How long do they have to be out there for?
As long until everyone else taps out.
Oh, so it's like a reality TV show.
Yeah, it's a reality TV show. Okay. So they go in and go, I'm going to go as long as possible. But the also scary thing is like, you might be in 50 days and you're like struggling, and you might be going to yourself, well, is one person left or is everyone still in the game?
They're not allowed to team up?
No, you have no human contact for the entire time.
So
you have one
really
radio,
separated.
and everyone's separated in the middle of the Siberia.
Okay.
You have one radio. If you use the radio, you get pulled out of the game. That's it.
Okay.
You can only use it in an emergency. You cannot ask for help. You only get to bring 10 items.
And is there a crew with them just filming them?
They film themselves.
Oh, right.
So they have zero human contact. And they said the biggest, hardest part of the entire journey is the loneliness that you get when they're just like, okay, I've eaten my food. I caught my fish for the day. And I just wait until the sun sets and go to sleep. Mm-hmm. They might be like, that's a whole day.
But like, there's so many things to do when living off the land. Like, you're constantly working to make sure you're fine, right?
But a lot of them have no energy.
I guess
because
they're
they
not,
like can't find anything to eat.
Right. So you can't.
A lot of
build
them
a
go,
hut
I haven't
and
eaten
bunker
for 2
down.
weeks.
Oh, right. So they have to be like nomadic, essentially, constantly hunt, and so they can't build a little hut and.
No, they do. At the beginning, they spend all their energy to build the hut.
Yeah. Okay.
And they build the hut and go, I need to keep a fire going every night or I'll die.
Yeah, for sure, dude.
So what was interesting is that this guy, one of the first guys to bring a bow and arrow, fucking killed a moose.
Oh my
He
god!
fucking shot it long range. He fucking miles away. He just goes ping, nails this moose, chases it down for like kilometers while it slowly dies.
Yeah.
And then he chops it up bit by bit and carries it all back to his hut, right? He had a whole moose to eat and he was still dying of starvation from protein poisoning because your body cannot get enough nutrients from protein alone. It needs to eat fat.
Interesting.
Because the moose is too lean.
Really?
So he said, I'm eating an entire moose and I'm still starving to death.
Moose are humongous, dude.
He ate so much of it and he still said, I am losing weight like nothing.
Was this in a snow area? So
He was also getting... Yeah, it was...
preserve it?
Yeah,
It'll just sit there. It'll be
yeah,
alright.
but then animals would try and get your kill.
Yeah, yeah.
So you had to hang it in a tree. And
Oh
he had
my
to build,
God.
He had to build a fort in the tree to keep
gotta
the
watch this
animals
show.
away. It's sick.
Wow. I
Yeah.
gotta watch this show for
It's
sure.
It's awesome. There's like 9 seasons.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so no matter how big the animal is, he was complaining of stomach pains. He
interesting.
said, "I don't know. I've got most of the moose left, and I don't think I can eat it all because my stomach is killing me. So you need the fat, and if you don't have fat, you're dying. Fat is everything for the human body.
I thought like there'd be a little bit of fat on it at least.
it's too lean.
Too lean. It's like a kangaroo.
Lean. Yep, it's too lean. You couldn't survive.
I
off
never
just
heard of that. That's interesting. So
It's protein poisoning.
even
it's
though
called.
you have a huge amount of physical meat to eat, you still
you can still die.
Yeah, right.
Lucky they had some fatty penguins to eat.
yeah.
I don't imagine
Imagine
it's
like
very good meat.
Surely they're shitting in the igloo because imagine needing to take a crap
Taking a piss.
outside.
Your piss is freezing the minute you're going.
You gotta
That'd be
like break it
turning
off.
to ice
You gotta like
as it's coming out.
it's an icicle coming out.
Oh,
You gotta break it out of you. You gotta pull the last bit of pee out of you.
That's horrible.
Surely you just don't get frostbite on all your limbs.
I don't know how they survived it.
Obviously they were there with like the right equipment at the beginning, but they got
but-
stranded.
Yeah.
That's terrible. I would hate that.
They had to build up enough strength to just trek 200 miles, which is like, what, 300 Ks?
That's the same feeling I feel of like building a raft on a stranded island and just hoping for the best, right?
Get a castaway style.
You don't know what the outcome's going to be, but you just have to strive to live. And if it works out, it works out.
That's the human thriving.
Wow.
That was pretty cool. I have one more thing for you.
Yeah, man.
Which I thought was pretty interesting. I came across it today, actually. It was that I didn't know this at all. I was watching this like mini doco. The K-pop industry is essentially slavery. Have you heard about this?
I have.
You know? Do you know much about it?
It's like essentially, it's what we did here in America to Australian pop idols and American pop idols, where like the industry plants, but they're like manufactured on a crazy level where they like work to death, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, I'll just give you the
Yeah. Let me know.
points
Let
that
me
I
know
have.
the details.
So the reason the K-pop industry is so powerful is because it's a well-oiled machine made specifically to outshine Japan, J-pop.
Interesting.
It was made like 90s because, there's that mad rivalry between Japan and Korea.
Mm-hmm.
So they literally did it because they saw that Japanese pop stars were coming up and they said, how can we make this how can we make this better? So they saw that J-pop was too insular and marketed to pretty much only Asia. It was all in Japanese.
Yeah.
So they said, okay, well, we're gonna blend the two styles of Western culture and Asian culture, like Korean culture and Western culture. That's why half their songs are in English.
Yep.
Do you know, like they kind of do a bit of Korean, do a bit of English in their songs.
Because they were like popping off in like 2008.
Yeah, big time. I used to watch in the morning. What was it? The Korean pop video hits kind of.
Oh, right. I remember I used to listen to one artist back in like 2008. Was it Sayang? Taeyang? Sayang?
I used to listen to G Dragon.
I imagine that was J-pop this whole time, and I just absolutely butchered it.
No.
Yeah, right. Wow.
Oh, what was that show? It was on SBS. Anyway, I used to watch this Korean pop channel in the mornings. Oh, yeah, early 2000s. So K-pops are made in large groups so that the fans can fall in love with at least one of the characters from the group.
Wow,
That's
dude,
why there's no singular.
so much marketing.
Very rare that they be a singular artist.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. They look like younger kids, but they always try and find ones that have adolescent facial features and mostly are tall, just so
Right.
they look older than they are because they want
I
to
can
get
imagine
them
they're
young.
looking for like Eurasian-looking dudes.
They try to.
Yeah. Western features with Korean features.
Yeah, and they start looking and indoctrinate them into but trying to become a pop star at the age of 9.
Yeah, I believe that.
So they're asked to
God.
sign a contract lasting 7 years, which dictates their entire life at the age of 9. Okay, this was also recently changed from the longer period of contract, which was 13 years that you sign this contract with the K-pop company. And so, they call them the agents, right? That's what they call it, like the agency. So this contract dictates they can't eat what they want, they can't dress the way they want, they can't be seen in public doing anything other than what they are told to do for their entire lives. So immediately, 9 years.
Yep.
This is also when you are not even a pop star yet. You are training to become a K-pop star.
Yeah.
So you haven't hit the big time. You haven't even made one song. You are just in some sort of like boot camp there, training every single day. It's like the military.
Yeah.
I didn't know
Because
any
you
of this.
have to make money.
You have to make money. So the contract dictates that you get less money than what the agency will make. So say the artist, usually artists in any recording label, the record label might say, we take 30%. All right.
They take a huge cut.
Yeah. It's a lot, 30%, but they'll be like, in here, most of the time, the artist gets most of the work, more than 50%, I'd say.
Not from what I've
Yeah?
seen. The companies get a massive amount. They essentially, you get a lot of money, but once you see the breakdown, it's to go to like merchandise and manufacturing of CDs and vinyls.
Yeah, okay.
And recording time in the studio, and it's ridiculous. You're essentially getting a loan, and you have to pay it back with interest.
Yeah.
You don't get much.
So that brings me to my next point exactly, which was before you start earning money for yourself, you agree in the contract that you have to pay back all the money spent training on you in the first place. So from the minute you're 9 years old in the studio paying, for them to do the training, the dance classes, the diets, the exercise, every day you're there, you're accumulating debt to them. And they say you can't earn a single cent in your bank account till all this debt is paid first. Right? You haven't even you haven't made a song yet.
No. You're like 10 years old.
You're like, yeah, this is cool. So this is just for the chance to become a pop star. So, so even if you train for 6 years, become a pop star, you don't make work, you don't get paid anything. So you're already at the big time. So this one idol came out, I think her name was a Crayon Pop or Pop Crayon. She was already in the mega stardom for a year and a half before she said she got a single cent in her bank account.
Right.
All had to be paid back to the company first. But, so you're signing yourself into debt at 9 years old.
That's
Hey, stop it. Yep. So heaps of trainees take out loans just to cover the living costs, because not only are you have to pay for the training, you're not getting paid to do the work. So you have to then survive.
That's not part of your contract. They don't hook you up with a little house with your.
You got to take out a loan to eat food and to like do all this and to like have somewhere to live.
I'm not surprised. Like it. I mean, America, it does do that. There's so many industry plants. As far as back as like the Spice Girls, like it's all just Backstreet Boys. It's just all manufactured. How can we bring this thing together, this group together, and manufacture them and make heaps of money off of them? Like Justin Timberlake, I recently saw his whole like breakthrough with his like first solo album, man, like it was manufactured like he was such a successful artist that he could go solo. There's like all this footage of like Pharrell writing all his stuff for him and in the studio and them developing songs together. But it's clearly Pharrell because he's he's an amazing songwriter and producer. He's creating like his whole identity.
Really?
Yeah, like it's crazy. Like all those catchy hooks and stuff, and I'm like, wow, like he has the talent, but it's made for them.
He's got the talent to do it, but he doesn't have the talent to make it.
Yeah, like Post Malone, like Beer Bongs and Bentleys, like there's a huge amount of collaborators on that album, and that's why it was so successful. And then everything after that, I think it's, and I love Post Malone, but like after that, it's a little more of him doing his thing, and that's why it just drops off a little bit because you don't have all these experts ghost writing and producing all your songs and to make sure every single thing's a hit.
I know some people do put in the work, like Lady Gaga or something. They're like putting in hard yards for everything, but they also have collab.
Definitely have like the artists like Post Malone that probably would have a lot of input in how things sound because it has to. But then you have things like artists like Olivia Rodrigo, which would be like, I'm just a teenager
or
and
like
I just do the music.
And shit,
Dua Lipa, 100%.
Someone's stealing my shit. And, I come there and sing and I'm the face.
I didn't know that I was referencing that song. That's so blatantly obvious that I referenced it.
And because you didn't fucking write it.
Yeah, none of it is her stuff. Hook. They just gave it to her and they were like, re-record this.
Yeah.
Even like the ghost singers and stuff, ghost writers on like old Britney Spears tracks, people have split them up, and the writing credits of like the songwriters and stuff for some of the Britney Spears hits, you can hear the backing vocals of the original person that wrote the song singing in the background that Britney Spears is singing over the top of.
Really?
Yeah, because that's just how it was done back then. It was like the people was just manufacture. How do I get the most money out of a pop star? That's why mainstream music is so flat for me. Nothing to it.
I agree, but I knew for sure it's something like that, but I didn't know about the backing track in the background. That's pretty funny.
It's very common back in that time. Yeah.
So you can imagine how overdone this shit is then.
Oh, yeah, because like
on steroids.
That's like. There's a lot of laws in Western country. They're just like work you to death over there.
Yeah, man. Apparently, it's
you need to break our market and the American market.
Yeah, and you need to and apparently it's worse than the military, because there's so much extra random shit that you have to do. Like you can't be seen in public. So I keep going.
Yeah.
So they're told to be put on exercise routines, sleep routines, diets, plastic surgery.
Oh wow.
They're told what to do. It's like you're gonna get this. You have to. You have to get bits of your jaw removed because you don't look wide enough.
Korean beauty standards are super high. It's
super
ridiculous.
high. And everyone gets plastic surgery. Like everyone gets
very
the
common.
eye done.
Yeah, the double eye fold.
The double eyelid to look
very
more
common
Western,
surgery there.
To look more Western, yeah. But it's cheap and it's really high quality over there, the surgeries.
Oh, all their beauty products are incredible over there. Yeah,
they got it made.
Hey, Korean people are good looking, man. They got the good features.
Yeah,
good skin, good cheekbones.
But is that from so much plastic surgery?
Nah, I think it's just
everyone gets it done.
Everyone really takes care of themselves. I think
it's a lot more than
no one is not wearing a brand name in Korea.
Yeah, I guess. And that was that only 10% of people make it the cut. So if you do all that time, you get all that debt racked up. So say you didn't make it as a pop star and you go out to work at like Kmart over there.
Yeah.
You still have to pay that money out of your salary from Kmart to pay them out first before you get your paycheck.
That's so messed up.
And it's 100% to them. 100% gets put to them before you earn anything.
Do you think as like a pop star group, say you're a group of like, 18 girls, they're so massive, those groups. If you all decided mid-contract, you're like, we're getting a lot of popularity in US. What if you just all went on a US tour and just decided not to come back? Would Korea extradite you back to Korea because you're
I don't know
contract?
what they do, but you got the contract, so they might say we're revoking your citizenship.
And what if they were like, we're being treated unfairly?
I had a mate here who has come to school in Korea. He came to school from Korea to the school here in Australia in high school. When he turned 18, they said you need to come back for conscription. If you do not come back, we're taking away your citizenship. And he had to go to the military for 3 years.
It's quite common in some countries, isn't it? Like men and women, they just
Yeah.
have to serve like 1 to 3 years in the military.
Has to be done.
I think it's in Israel. That's also it's very popular.
I think that's something similar happened when I had talked to some mates here back in the day in Western Sydney.
It's crazy.
So once they make the cut, it's even more intense. Apparently they wear sandbags. This is just one of the things I heard. Apparently they wear sandbags on their feet while they're doing the choreography to weigh themselves down. So when they're on stage, they look even lighter, like they're just floating.
Rock Lee.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's Rock Lee shit.
Just moving super fast.
While you're in the group, you cannot date anyone because
Oh
you
my
need to be
God.
more accessible to the
Yeah.
public. And so the fans need to believe like they can get you.
Oh my God, dude, imagine like being forced to look amazing during your prime and you can't do anything with it.
Can't do shit.
Wow. What a
So that's
just sign
what-
your soul away.
So that's why there's no mixed groups, because they don't want to have the suspicion that members might be dating.
Right.
So there's only boy groups, there's only girl groups.
Right,
They're separated
right.
fully. So what I found, this was crazy. Just alone, BTS, the boy band, increased South Korea's GDP by $5 billion on the entire country.
GDP is
Global
the-
domestic product.
Oh my God.
The entire country's global product went up $5 billion from a single band.
That's ridiculous. And I guess like the fact that I know of them and I don't listen to any K-pop, they put them on the map. Like they're huge in Australia and America.
They use them to go to
Oh,
do
do they
some
have their
sort-
own McDonald's meal or something?
Yeah, something
It's
like
crazy.
that. And they went and performed for Kim Jong Un.
Really?
Dude, their entire $5 billion GDP is more than the entire North Korean economy.
Dude.
Yes.
It's so ridiculous.
That one band out of however many hundreds they have.
Surely
going on
like
at the
they're
time.
all millionaires and they're chill now, right?
I don't
Because
know.
They're the biggest.
They're young. They're all like 17, 18.
But because they're one of the biggest, surely like they've paid off the debt.
But
and
the second the guys get out of the contract, they all leave. They've rotated members quite a bit. And as soon as they hit like 23, 24, 25,
yeah,
they're gone.
they're not marketable anymore.
They're gone.
But
I think
surely like
just
they're
wanna get-
millionaires, right?
I don't know.
You'd hope so.
I'd hope so. They must be doing it. I don't know. That's the thing. It's like they're kind of like slaves. Like how
Yeah.
much do you get put up in the, you know, I can't date, I can't eat, I can't sleep when I want. It's like I've heard some nights, most nights they're on 2 hours sleep, and it's like told you can't go to sleep. You need to get up and perform.
If I was them and I got kicked out of the group, I'd go to the US. Everyone knows who I am. You just need to do a collaboration with
But
one
then you
Popeyes
don't
and
have
you're
that
done.
marketing backing behind you anymore. You don't have the rest
You
of
just
the
need a
crew.
feature on a track with some other pop artists. You'd get signed like that because your
I don't
name's so popular. Dude, imagine the fan base in America. One of the BTS people would freaking do a collab with Justin Bieber or some shit.
But you know what?
Off
They're
its
not
head.
writing their own music.
I know, but like,
So
neither
it's like,
is
do you
Justin
have
Bieber,
that
you know, it'd just
talent?
be-
Do you
it'd just
even
be
have that
created.
talent? They might be like, yeah, come write on this thing.
Yeah.
And you have no talent.
Well, no, it'd just be like the same as like Justin Bieber thing, right? Like you'd just be like these two people that have a name behind them that we can easily sell tracks from, get money off of, collaborate them. You got a hit that will be made, and you're gonna get 100% going to get people listening to it. It'll pop off.
Well, yeah, maybe.
You just need a DJ Khaled person to put them together.
But they might say you're not even allowed to perform under your own name. I think they even have fake personas names.
No, but like you know what I mean. Like once you've gotten kicked out, you're 24, you're out of BTS. You now, what are you doing? I'm saying I moved to America.
But some say they're so
People know who I am.
exhausted that they don't want to do it anymore.
Well, I'm just saying if
That's
I
why
haven't,
a
if
lot
I
of
haven't
people-
made money,
Oh, yeah.
I'm making money in US. Now everyone knows who I am, who I look like. I got an Instagram. Boom.
You could try. You'd probably be all right.
I reckon you'd
But
be
it's a
fine.
big sacrifice. How many people don't make it there?
Where?
To the big time. However many pop stars, 90% don't make it to become a pop star.
Oh yeah, I'm only talking about in the scenario that you're BTS level.
Yeah, I know, but I'm
Yeah.
saying however many people just try and... So the whole point of this was saying, though, the suicide rates for these K-pop artists are through the roof.
Really?
Yeah. There's like been 13 big ones in like the last couple of years.
And are these
Where they come out
the
and say,
low level
I'm-
the ones or like the ones that have made
Big,
it as well?
big.
Really?
They're big ones.
Wow.
They're the ones that you just know about.
Jeez, that's really
They
sad.
come out on
Sad.
social media and say, I've got a boyfriend, and they're telling me I'm not supposed to. And then, you know, the media will be like, you shouldn't have a boyfriend in the band. And like everyone is like kind of in that mentality in Korea too, which
Yeah.
is you gotta live up to this standard.
Jeez.
So after a while, you would just be totally. So think about it, you started at 9 years old. You might be like by year 25, you go on. I'm cooked. I'm done. I cannot work anymore.
Especially if I can't imagine, is it like over 40 hours of work a week?
Oh man, these people sounds like their whole lives are work now.
Yeah, right. Monday, like, yeah, you reckon like
No, like you
Sunday to
cannot be
Sunday.
seen in public anymore. Once
Right.
you sign your life away,
you're only working.
you're
Yeah.
only working 24/7.
Jeez. That's scary, man. I guess, and because of how young they are they signed up by their parents, or are they wanting to do this and they don't realize the repercussions?
They're
Do you reckon their parents are like, join this talent show because we want you to be a star and make money
I think a lot of kids sign up obliviously and go, we want to.
now because
Yeah.
they know that the stardom in it.
Yeah, they know
And
that
they
they
don't
might have a
realize-
chance, but they have no idea what they're
It's
signing
crazy
up for.
that as from a Western country's point of view, we look at that and they're like, that's so ridiculous. But like, you can imagine the same thing's been happening here for years. It's just like not to that extreme. They take it to the extreme because they're like, they can see what they can get out of it based off what US has done.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, if this is all they did and they're making this much money and that much fame and that much culture, we just do the same format, but we ramp it the fuck up. We make our people
yeah.
work extra hard.
Yeah, they got that mentality of like, we got to be the best. But
Yeah.
apparently it's just like this crazy oiled machine
worth
that,
it.
it's scary.
That's a different. That's very scary, man. And especially like if you don't get any benefits out of it, it makes you wonder like why
You just gone into debt and you could kill yourself and no one's going to know who you are. And you just kill yourself because you're in mountains of debt before you're even 18 years old.
Yeah.
I think it's horrible. And people don't realize it. And they're just supporting this by every time you listen to a BTS song on Spotify, it's like, yep, I'm feeding the machine because I like their music.
Yeah.
But it's like, you don't want to be doing that thing, but it's just, hey, you are contributing to that if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah. They're huge, man. They're huge. Wow.
5 billion GDP, my God.
That's insane, man. Kim Jong-un's like, yes, more wine and cheese for me.
Yeah, apparently they used them for some sort of political kind of representation as well for South Korea.
They put him on the map.
Yeah, they were at some sort of like UN meeting. It
Yeah,
was
wow.
crazy. But yeah, I think that's all we got time for, my friend.
That's it?
Yeah, that's it. It's a big
Wow.
one. Over an hour.
Nice.
Yeah, it was good.
That was a good one, man.
Lots of cool topics.
A lot. Interesting ones, funny ones,
Yeah.
scientific ones,
Everything
theoretical ones,
And
covered it all today.
And the funny ones.
and the funny ones, man. You got the butt explosion, and I appreciate that one.
The butt explosion. I love that.
Wow.
But yeah, so that's it. We're signing off tonight, guys.
Thank you guys for listening and watching.
Yep. We love you as always, and keep watching.
We'll catch you next
Subscribe.
time.
Yep. And we'll see you in the next one.
See ya.
Bye.